everybody. This is episode 21 of Eat, Drink, Write, and Urban Fantasy Whiteboard. Today, we're going to be talking about how to find an agent for your urban fantasy or any manuscript. Actually, I think it applies to everything.
Right.
But first, how was your week?
It was pretty good. So I've started, what have I done this week? Let's see. They all run into each other. I think I've said this every time we've podcasted for the past few times.
Yeah.
I did start book 2. I might have mentioned this last week, but I'm at 5,000 words on it.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a
I
good
already
start.
know. Yeah, I know where the plot's going. I know what I want it to be. I know what I want the characters to do. So it's been talking to me. It's been talking to me a lot. So I've just been working on it. What else? Work was slow, so I didn't have that much to do with work. I think that was my week. I think that was it. So What about yours?
Mine was busy. We're trying to figure out how to safely resume court. And so I was discussing with judges in the child support office and my associates on how, and the other SAGs like me, how to go about reopening court, because we've got court coming up July. And the chief judge says he doesn't want us to have more than 10 people in the courtroom at a time. So we're trying to work out details. So that was all last week. And then Zoom meetings with defendants and attempting to get settled cases. And I had to deal with docu-signing and that kind of stuff. So it was a busy week. My weeks are just as busy as they were, just different busy. No, I'm not in court, which
Right.
I miss court. I miss people. I miss being around people. I'm an extrovert.
I'm definitely starting to go a bit stir crazy. I am an introvert, but I think I've talked about this before. My job, I was constantly talking to people all day long. And so, maybe the first week or two of quarantine, I was like, this is kind of nice. And now I'm kind of like, I need something more. Like, I'm a very active person, so I need more. So I get that.
Yeah, I do spend a lot of time out on the deck. Something about being outside in the sun helps that.
Absolutely. I had a down day, I guess. I was not feeling very uppity. And it was a all day thing. And so I went outside and I was like, I'm just going to go sit outside for a second. 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes and I felt way better. It was insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. We're recording this Memorial Day weekend. And I think there's going to be a lot of people social distancing outside, which is pretty cool. We saw something on the Atlanta Botanical Gardens this morning, which I would love to go there, but I'm still a little nervous. They're saying it's safer outside. And if people wear masks, you're not spreading things.
Right.
But I don't think I'm still comfortable doing that. But I would love to go see the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. That's in one of my books, the book with Trick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a scene there. And what are you eating and drinking?
So lately my trend has been making quesadillas. I think I've made one for a recent podcast that we've done too. But this one is a ham, egg, and cheese quesadilla, and I've already eaten it. It's already, it's gone. And I'm drinking. So Courtney got me these teas from the Peacock Tea Room. And it comes with a variety. And for a little while there, I was, picking out a different one to do every day, and kind of lost doing that. But I did it again today, and it's called 8 Treasures. I'm pretty sure it's a rooibos, like a red tea. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. It just tastes like a rooibos to me, and it's fantastic.
That sounds fancy. 8 Treasures. I like that name.
It is delicious.
I haven't tried that one. I've tried a lot from the Peacock Tea Room. They're amazing. Y'all should go check it out. I think it's just peacocktearoom.com. He's on Facebook, Chef Randy.
Yeah.
But awesome teas, all kinds of different flavors. Y'all should go help support him during this quarantine time. I hope he doesn't go out of business. That would be tragic.
Yeah, that would be awful.
Yeah. So I am eating mozzarella chicken meatballs. Let's see if I can show you.
That sounds fancy. Look at that cute little cup thing.
I'm being fancy today. And then I'm drinking my sparkling pink wine.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite things. I did yesterday had a brand new drink that I'm going to have on the podcast one time. It was a cucumber, cayenne pepper, vodka martini, and it was amazing, and it's keto.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's pretty cool.
So I'm going to have that on here, and I'll post pictures of that and the recipe and everything. I love these keto drinks.
Man, that sounds good.
I've ordered a keto cocktail book just for the podcast so that I can have different.
Can you write that off on your taxes?
Probably not. Maybe. I'll ask our accountant.
Fair.
I have a joke.
Oh, of course you do. Please tell me the joke.
Okay, so since we're talking about agents, it's an agent-themed joke.
Okay.
If you were lost in the woods, who would you trust for directions? The publisher who prints everything you write, an agent who accepts your manuscript on a query letter alone, or Santa Claus? And the answer is Santa Claus. The other two don't exist.
Oh, fair. Wow. That's not what I expected. That was great.
Yeah, that was, I thought, pretty funny. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to another podcast.
Yeah.
The Wit Girls podcast, WITGIRLS podcast.
Yeah.
They have a podcast that they talk a lot about the Microsoft tools. And one of the two co-hosts, she said that she uses OneNote in the Microsoft Office suite to do her organizing for her writing notes. She said that it has sections and she uses that for story characters and chapters. She said she has it on her phone so she can take it with her. So, we've talked about thinking of things elsewhere and not having a way to track it, and how do you do it? You've got your notebook, that kind of thing.
Right.
So that is a great tip. Check out their podcast, Wit Girls Podcast. They have accents. It's really cool. I liked listening to it. So check that out. Also, I've been telling you all about making masks.
Yeah.
So I have been making masks, and I've put them on the Etsy store. And here, this one has dogs.
That's cute.
This one is purple sparkles. So I've got a bunch of them up now, and I want to offer our listeners a discount if they want masks. And so if they go to Dragoncraft Creations on Etsy and put in the coupon code ADW podcast, then they'll get 10% off the masks that I've got. So I'm continually working on them.
Is that ADW or EDW?
ADW. Oh, should be EDW. But I think I put ADW on the coupon code.
Okay.
I will check this, and I'll post a link in our website, which is eatdrinkwrightpodcast.com.
That's probably the best place to go for information anyway. Like, our website definitely has all of our stuff on it, so it'll be.
I know exactly where that came from. I was thinking of, and That's Why We Drank. That's another podcast, guys, that I absolutely adore. It's a true crime and paranormal podcast.
Yeah.
And I listen to it all the time, and and That's Why We Drink, whatever those letters are. So yeah, I know that's exactly what I was thinking of. But I will check out our website, and I'll have that information there, and you'll get 10% off masks if you all are interested in that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So,
you should. Do you have fabric with books on it?
I have been looking for that. I was looking for marijuana fabric, and that stuff is outrageously expensive because I figured that would be really popular.
Yeah.
Couldn't get that because it was too much. I would have to sell the masks for too much.
Yeah.
I looked at books, but I wasn't real happy with what I found so far. But I've got a lot of animal ones. I've got 2 different dog ones, some bird ones that I'm working on. A lot of galaxy and planet ones.
I would love a bird one.
Yeah, they're very cute. That fabric is cute. A lot of coffee ones. Those are my most popular ones. I'm selling out of those. I'm down to 5, and that's all I've got left.
Nice.
But that's cute. Yeah, my mom wants a dog one. My dad, I think I'm doing one of the fishing ones. I got fish. But I've got all kinds of fabrics. I'm having such a wonderful time with the fabrics.
That's
and
awesome.
making these masks, which I think are going to become a fashion trend. I don't think they're going away. So if I can help people, and mine are cheaper than most of them out there. I sell them for $9.95, which I know sounds like a lot, but the fabric itself and the,
Yeah, I
you know,
don't think that is a lot. I mean, $9.95 for a mask is not, I mean, that
and
doesn't seem outrageous to me.
I'm really kind of breaking even on it, but I want to help people. I think that some states are requiring masks, and where are you supposed to get them from? I mean,
Right.
so anyway, Dragoncraft Creations is my Etsy store, and y'all get a coupon code. Hopefully I put the right coupon code in there. I'll put it on our website. Okay, so let's jump into something I do know what I'm talking about.
All right.
How to find an agent, where to find an agent, that kind of thing. Because we're all, the people that listen to this, we're all writers. At some point, you need to have an agent to help you get your manuscript published.
Assuming you're not self-publishing.
I was going to say, unless you're self-published, but even then, it's not out of the question that you might not go to that in the future.
No, absolutely.
So what is an agent? An agent gets an author's foot in the door of a publishing house. They have contacts with editors at those publishing houses. So they champion your book. It's like there's someone who has a foot in that door. They know those people.
I like that you, sorry, I'm going to cut you off for just a second. I like that you said champion, because, you hear all the time, oh, I've been rejected X number of times. I've gotten this many rejections. And that's not like a reflection of your work. I think it's more, they weren't the right champion for your novel. You want to have an agent that wants to sell your novel, and sell it to the best of their ability. And if it doesn't grab them in a way that, will make them want to champion your novel, then it's not going to work. So
that's a very good point. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
Okay. And then because of their contacts with the publishing agencies, they know those editors, they know those people in there and what they're looking for. So they're not going to waste your time, our time, the publisher's time trying to sell them a book that is not right for that publishing company.
Right.
Which we don't know as individuals. We look at whatever our resources are, and we aren't smart enough. Well, that's not the right word. We don't have the knowledge of those inside information to know who wants our book.
Right.
They do. They're expert negotiators. They're trained at that. That's something they can do. A lot of us writers, I'm decent at negotiating because I'm a lawyer, but there are a lot of people who are not, and they don't have that skill. They don't want to have that skill.
I think that's a big appeal to me for agents is, they know how to negotiate. They know what they're looking for. They know what publishers will come down on and like all that kind of stuff. So, I'm way more.
They know what's fair. They know if the offer that this publisher is giving is laughable, or if it's a realistic, this is a good offer.
Right.
And the agent represents you as the writer.
Mm-hmm.
They are your representative, just like a lawyer that you hire is your lawyer looking out for your best interest. An agent is the same thing.
Yeah.
They look out for your best interest, and of course they're going to make money on it too if it's any good.
Right.
They have a nose for what's good and sellable. They know what's being published. They know what is out there. They know what the market is doing. Right now it's funny. I think because of Game of Thrones and that kind of thing, high fantasy is much more popular than it was. I mean, my very first book 20 years ago was high fantasy.
Yeah.
And that was popular then, and then it went into this lull. No one wanted high fantasy, and now it's back. An agent is going to know that. An agent is going to know what sells and where to sell it to.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're also the go-between between you and the publisher. So you're not having to stick your neck out and talk directly to the publisher. You've got someone who can listen to what you want, and they can then convey that in the best way possible.
Yeah, which I have like a little point here where it's, some publishers, like especially the bigger publishing houses, prefer to work with an agent over directly with an author anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, of the things that you already mentioned. They're better negotiators. They know the system. They know how it works. They know what publishers want. And so
they're not emotionally attached to the book like we, the authors, are.
Right.
We might not be realistic about what needs to be changed in that book because we love it. We love every word that we've poured our blood, sweat, and tears into.
Yeah.
And an agent is much more professional to deal with on that kind of level because we are invested in our book. We love our books. We think
Right.
it's good or we wouldn't have sent it to an agent. So that go-between is helpful
Yeah.
for us and for them.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
They manage the financial and marketing side of things so that we don't have to worry about it. Some
Again,
people are good at that.
yeah.
Say that again.
I said huge appeal to me.
Yes. Some people are good at that and some people are not good at that. And so, yeah, to have someone that you know and trust who's looking out for your best interest, who knows what's fair, heck yeah, that's a good thing. They can also help refine your manuscript before it goes to the publisher. They know the publishing houses. They know if some part of your manuscript needs to be worked over. So, and they'll help you fix it before it even gets put out there to be rejected if it's not fixed,
Right.
that kind of thing. So they help that. What you're looking for is someone who is the ideal representative for your book. You're on the hunt for a long-term business partner, and I saw this somewhere, a creative soulmate.
A creative soulmate.
I
like
thought that was so clever, I thought. And basically that's what an agent is our
Yeah.
creative soulmate.
Well, I was reading a post while I was doing research for this, and it was, how do you find a literary agent, which we'll get to. But the quote was, someone comes up to me and asks me if I can get them an agent. And the person is like, I can't do that. That's kind of like you're asking me to find your husband. So, she was like, it's very personal. It's a very personal relationship between an agent and their author. So.
Oh, I love that. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we come down to the how. How do you do this? And I think you had some information first on this one.
Yeah, like how do you know if you're ready for an agent? I think is an important question to answer because you have a completed manuscript. Is it polished? Has it been edited? Has it been beta read? Is it the best that it can be before you send it off, kind of thing? So like, what do you? And then if you're ready for an agent, like what do you need in order to start looking for an agent or in order to be prepared to pitch to an agent? And that would be, obviously your complete polished manuscript. A query letter is important, which we've talked about on another one of our episodes about how to write one. Potentially a synopsis if they ask for that. I've been looking at agents myself, and some of them don't ask for a synopsis at all. They just ask for a query, and some of them ask for a manuscript, a query, a synopsis, sample chapters, and other stuff. So it depends on what the agent is looking for. I have seen a lot of agents asking for sample chapters or the first 5 pages or something like that. So just make sure, at least part of your work up to a certain degree, preferably all of it, is polished and ready to be sent on to an agent.
Yeah, I agree. I think before you even start looking for, you should never start sending queries to an agent without a completed manuscript. You've got to have a completed manuscript. And I think it needs to be as polished as you feel it can be. Now, all of us writers, we reread our work and are like, there's constant changing. We never think it's done.
Yeah.
But up to a point, at some point, you've got to bite the bullet. And this was something that you were particularly bad about, not thinking you were ready.
Yes, I've gotten over that with my Mac book. So.
Yeah. Well, your Louie and Delaney book, she's talking about redoing it, guys.
I am gonna redo it. The style could be way better. Listen.
Amazing. That book of hers is my favorite book of hers. It's like I picked it up off the shelf. I'm supposed to be beta reading it for all these problems. I'm so sucked into the story on that one. I don't notice anything. It's a good book. And yet she wants to rewrite it, which is the writer's curse.
It could be better.
Writer's curse, man. Okay.
But it could be way better.
I mean, and I think as writers, we always think that.
I agree. But hear me out here on my works. So Louie and Delaney I have, and I think it's good. And then I have Mac, which I think is good enough to already query. And then I look back at Louie and Delaney and it could be better. I'm happy to move forward with Mac.
Yes.
I'm ready to, I want to rewrite.
There is, I think, a point where we get to where we're like, okay, this is ready to throw out there. Now, that's not saying we're not going to go back and reread it in 3 weeks and go, oh my God, I should have done this and this and this. But
Right.
there is a point where you feel this is ready to go out there. This is ready for someone else to look at. Someone besides my beta reader that I trust. Someone scary that we don't know.
Yeah.
So how do we do this? How do we find an agent? Where are they? What do we do?
Yeah.
So we first narrow down what our genre is. So we are urban fantasy.
Right.
And so that's primarily what we're looking for. We're looking for urban fantasy agents, but there are agents for any
anything
kind, Western fiction, romance fiction, paranormal fiction, and nonfiction. There are agents out there for that as well. So how do you find them? There are literally hundreds of agents out there.
Even within your genre. So
say that again?
Even within your genre.
Even within your genre, correct. As you find the hundreds that you wanting to think about, you start making a note of the ones that fit what you think might like your work. And let me explain. So you go to a place, Google agent. Okay, I'm going to list several different places you can find things. Back in the day, when I first started submitting stuff for publishing, it was before there was internet.
Was that like dinosaur times?
Yeah, dinosaur times, before electricity and that kind of thing. We used Writer's Digest, the book. There is still Writer's Digest that's now more online, which is Writer's Digest is amazing. That is near and dear to my heart because that's what I started with.
Yeah.
And so every year they would come out with an updated book, and it was about this thick, and it had, poetry and nonfiction and fiction and all of this, and you would find your little slice and start going through, and it had a place to start, and looking at them. And that's how you did it back in the day. It's similar to that nowadays, except for you can do all this online, which is much handier.
Way faster. Yeah.
Yes. So agentquery.com, agentquery, all one word.com. You go in and you search. They have fiction, nonfiction. And you go in and you search and you start reading the little blurbs that agent has.
Does it have like their wish list on it and like, what they're looking for? Different
sites have different things, but what you do find from these basic ones that I'm going to tell you about is their name. If you find something in their little blurb and you're like, okay, then you need to go and do some real research. Once you've got your list of names that you're starting to make a note of, like I've got a chart, I'll post it on our website. It's a table. I like to use tables. And it's got the agent, and I'll actually cut and paste what they have said on their blurb that I liked, why I think my work might match. And I'll cut that and I'll paste it into this chart. And then from that chart that I've started making a list of, then I go and do more additional research on each individual person.
Gotcha.
So there's agentquery.com. There is the Association of Authors Representatives, which is aaronline.org. It's a little less user-friendly. You click on boxes with your genre and it does the search that way. There is List of Literary Agents, which is literaryagencies.com. You have to register for that one, but it's free. Okay. But you do have to give them your email. It's not like you can just go in and do a search with no one knowing who you are. You do have to register for it. It has you check the list of genres and you pull the agents' names that way. It's got click down boxes with more information. I did like that one because you could get more information about the agent on that site before having to go anywhere else to research them further. Right. So that was literaryagencies.com. I really liked that one. There is a query tracker, which is querytracker.net. You have to register for that one as well. It's also free, and it lists what country they're from, which is very helpful because,
that is cool.
Yeah, that has their flag, because it doesn't do me any good here in America to find a European agent right now. I have, I'm here first, and European agents European authors don't want to have to all the way come over here yet. So it's kind of handy to see that at a glance when you first even look at the page. Oh, that one's European. And some people are looking for, okay, I've made it here. I'm not real happy with my agent here, but I want one overseas. So it's very helpful to have that at a glance.
Right.
Google, you can search Google. I just did I typed in urban fantasy agents and hit enter, and it pulls up stuff. How do you do it? What do you do?
No, so that's how I've done it so far. And I have a few other things that I have written down too. But in terms of, what I've done so far is I have Googled urban fantasy agents, and then I go through and I look at individual ones that are listed there that I find in searches there. And I will bookmark agents that I'm interested in so that I can go back and go straight to their page and reread what I liked about them and decide if I want to actually query that person.
That's a good idea.
So yeah, I use bookmarks. I think I have 11 bookmarked at the moment to potentially query soon. And but I haven't done too much digging because I did want to make sure that I was ready to query and that kind of stuff. But I did come across publishersmarketplace.com. It also requires a membership, but I was actually able to go in and use the search function without signing up. And I was able to type in urban fantasy and agent, and it brought up a list of agents that included the words urban fantasy. And so I was able to find agents that are specifically looking for urban fantasy and that kind of thing.
You didn't have to pay for that one? Because I was thinking that one was a pay for, which Writer's Digest is a pay for.
It is a pay for, but I didn't have to pay to use the search function, and it still gave me the agent's name.
Okay.
So I was still able to go in and find a potential agent, and I didn't click on them. I didn't go and search them out and look at them on Google or anything like that. But I was able to find the name, so I could potentially go and research further about whether they're still looking for urban fantasy and that kind of thing. So
yeah, so there are free ones, but there's also paid ones, which Writer's Digest has been out there for years and years and years and years, and they do have good relationships with a lot of the agents that are out there. Back in the day, you didn't need an agent to submit. I did a lot of submissions directly to publishing companies, and I used Writer's Digest to do that. But it is a paid for subscription, which you can decide whether that's worth the money for you. If you've got a manuscript that's ready to go, you may be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Also, another place to look is on Twitter. Twitter is just blowing my mind. I'm learning so much from Twitter about the writing community. If you look for hashtag MSWL, which is manuscript wish list,
yep,
it will pull up agents that have specific wish lists, and you can just search for that MSWL, and it'll pull up, and you can see, and I think you can do UF after it, urban fantasy or romance or whatever it is, and it'll pull up agents that have tweeted saying, this is on my wish list. There is a manuscript wish list out there, but I don't know if it's paid for.
So when I Google, I've Googled urban fantasy agents, and it has actually brought up the manuscript wish list site, and I've been able to go and scroll through and see names and look at agents that have tagged urban fantasy as one of their interests. And so I have gone and I've bookmarked a few agents from that too. So
yeah, that one I didn't find as user friendly, so I didn't put it on my list.
I don't like it as much. It doesn't seem as user friendly to me. There's a lot of scrolling that you have to do, and it's a lot of repeated posts and that kind of thing. So you kind of have to dig through it a lot in order to find anything. And I've also noticed that a lot of them are out of date. Like it doesn't give you up to date posts all the time. So
be aware of that.
Yeah.
But the good news is it's something that those agents are actually actively looking for. You know, instead of just listing, oh, I do urban fantasy, they're actively looking for whatever it is that they're saying on that wish list. So that is definitely something to consider.
Another thing about Twitter before we move on, this past week, I should have mentioned it before, I did a pitch event, which was, it was hashtag Pit Dark for this one. And you basically have your log line and you use that, which I think we're going to do an episode on log lines at some point in the future.
We need to, yeah.
and you post your log line on your Twitter and you use the hashtag pitdark, and there are agents who are scrolling that hashtag specifically to look for works that they want to represent or could potentially want to represent. And if they like your post, like physically like it, then that means they want to have your query. They want you to send a query to them.
Oh,
And I think
cool.
that's really interesting. So I did it this time, not to the degree that other writers do it, because it was my first time, like, kind of dipping my toes in it, and it was really interesting. The downside is that there are hundreds and hundreds of writers who are doing it at the same time. So the odds that your pitch will be seen is very slim. So
Well, and Twitter, you only have a certain number of characters. How do you pitch a book with a Twitter? That's crazy.
Difficulty. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I think my log line is a lot longer than whatever the Twitter number is.
I learned the Twitter number is 280. So you have
Okay.
280 characters to get across your entire book. And that's
Wow.
characters, not words.
Including spaces, that's Twitter, right?
And including your hashtags. So
Hashtag pit dark or whatever.
hashtag pit dark. You also have to have your hashtag for your genre, because that agents will search for that too. So hashtag UF would be for mine.
Okay.
And the age range that you're looking for. So hashtag A for adult.
Oh.
So you have to have enough characters left over to put in all of those hashtags, or else you get ignored anyway. So
We should do an episode about, maybe a mini on the Twitter,
we could do that.
whatever it was that you just called it.
Well, I call it a pitch event. I don't know if
Pitch
that's
event.
really what they're called. That's what I'm calling it. That's I don't know if that's what the official name for them is or whatever, but yeah.
Because I bet since you've done it, you can give us tips on how to make our huge book down to 280 characters.
Well, I also didn't get any likes from agents, so
Oh.
there is that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it was really neat. It's like we'll do a mini on it before I start.
Okay.
So.
That sounds good. Okay, we went totally off track. Let's see. You had.
Oh, yeah, I do have one more thing.
Okay.
Writing conferences, which we could probably do an episode on this too.
Yeah.
But writing conferences are a great place to go and meet agents, because, the one that we went to in Atlanta, we both signed up for pitches, and we were able to sit face to face with an agent. And so we were able to talk with them and ask them questions, and they could ask us questions that they wanted to know about our book after pitching it. And I think that's it's a better way to be remembered by agents, and it's a better way to grab their attention because you are physically sitting there in front of them.
Yeah, it's not just a piece of paper that they're looking at, thousands of pieces of paper.
Right.
Now, I mean, we did all sign up for slots, so they were seeing people after people after people, but we are personable, and sometimes your personality just clicks with somebody, and you're right, that is a much better way. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that's all I had on that.
Okay, so once you get this list of people, these agents that you think, okay, this one does urban fantasy, so this one likes light urban fantasy, which happens to be my last book, or you're a dark urban fantasy writer. You have to go and do in-depth research. So most of the search engines, you just type in their name and you click on it and you go. You want to read about them. You want to go to their agency website and study the agency website. You want to look at what their submission guidelines are. You want to go to their social media.
Yeah,
a bunch of them have to they post, because sometimes, like, there was one that is an avid golfer that I saw, and I do not golf. But think about it. If you are an avid golfer and this agent is an avid golfer, that gives you a connection point. That gives you something more personal to connect with that agent on. So you learn a whole lot about them. And when they're talking about their favorite books, that gives you an idea of what type of book they like. And if it's not where yours is, that's not right for you necessarily. Right. I mean, just keep doing research. But you need to do this in-depth research. You see what books they read, you see what books they represent. Because just because they say urban fantasy, and I've seen this a lot, they'll say, oh, romance, urban fantasy, mainstream, blah, blah, blah. So, but when you go and look at what they actually represent, there might not be a single urban fantasy one on there.
Right.
So just because they say they might be interested in it, and it might still be worth it because your book might click with them. But if 9 times out of 10, there is no urban fantasy on there, they're not looking for what you've written.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. I mean, nothing is taboo, unless they say romance only and you're trying to send them a sci-fi whatever,
Right.
or a war movie or a book or whatever.
Yeah.
So then you also need to look and see, sometimes you have agents that open and close their availability. Like I found one just the other day. I was doing my own to resubmit frickin' fairies, and she sounded great. But when I went to her website and started looking at her stuff, she said, I'm currently closed to unsolicited queries. So she's trying to catch up on the stuff that she's got. So you've got to do that.
Yeah, I found a few of those too, and but one that I found, and it's actually someone that you've pitched to before. She said, I'm closed to queries right now, but by May 1st, I'm going to be back open again.
Yes.
So she's now reopened the queries, and sometimes on their website they'll say, "Hey, I am closed right now, but I will accept queries at this time." So I marked her down. I bookmarked her, and I will probably query her. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You get a feel when you're doing this in-depth research as to whether they are going to click with you. Like I was talking about the golf, if you're an avid golfer or, whatever hobby that they might have mentioned that you might click with that person. There is a lot to be said. We're looking for our creative soulmate. So,
Right.
This information, is very important. Who are their clients?
I always look at the client list.
Yes.
Whether I recognize any of them or not, I always look at it.
Yeah. Not just that, but I go and look at those clients' books.
Yeah.
I want to see, what is this book that they've represented? Is it something that is along the lines of mine? Is it something that mine would fit in with? Is it weird and I don't like it? So I know that this agent and I are not going to see eye to eye on what, we want. Right. So yeah, as I said, not tattoos, but what they have in common. There was one that had tattoos, and I got tattoos.
Yeah.
I got one on my shoulder. That's something that helps connect you. And if they've mentioned it, it's something that's near and dear to their heart, or they wouldn't have put it in there. So that's something to connect with too. Or if they're a tattoo hater, if they are uptight and they don't want, they've made some comment, then I'm like, okay, I don't need to be talking to that person because they're not going to like me. And right. I need to have someone who likes me as a person, not just my book, but this is creative soulmate,
Right.
So, think about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a couple other things. I always like to look and see if they have an expected query response time and what their query response will look like. And this won't necessarily deter me from pitching to them or querying them, but it's good to know, are they going to leave me hanging? Are they ever going to answer? Or do they have, I'll get back to you in 3 weeks, whether that's a form response or not. I kind of take that into consideration and I mark it in my spreadsheet.
That is a good point. Yes, I use a spreadsheet too. I keep tracking. I should probably post this on our website too.
I actually got it from you, so yeah.
Yeah, I have a table. I use tables, and it says who the agent is, what their agency is, when I've submitted it. I put a little blurb as to what they say their response time is going to be, and you wouldn't believe the number who just don't respond. I mean, so that tells you where I am on their list of, I love the ones. One of my favorite agents, and I wish that she and I clicked, was Veronica.
She has a Polish last name, and I don't know how to say it.
But she is an amazing woman. Met her in person at a conference. She was trained by Donald Moss. Wonderful woman. I really, really respect her. And she took the time. It took her a long time to get back to me, but she took the time to respond to me. And I understand they can't do personal rejections, but my God, it's so nice to at least know, okay, this one's closed. I
Right.
still have some on my list that I just never heard back from.
Yeah.
You know, is it because it's been 6 months and they're just done, or are they really 6 months behind?
Right. Yeah. No,
But
I agree.
Veronica, oh, I'll have to post her name too. She is an amazing human being.
She's actually the one who was closed to queries and reopened on May 1st. So I am trying to query her.
Yeah, I would trust her, I think, with my life. She is a very caring person. And I got this just from meeting her at a couple conferences. And I felt the warmth that she felt for another human being. She is a good human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put it that way, on top of being probably a phenomenal agent.
Right. Well, because of that, I'm sure. Yeah.
Probably so. But she was looking for someone, as she was looking for that soulmate as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that I didn't meet that says a lot. And she took the time to tell me that this is not what and when I was pitching to her, she was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
It was my very first time pitching, honestly. She was my first pitch, I think. And so I was terrified. And I did my little spiel, and she just looked at me, and I thought, oh my God, what does this mean? But she was thinking. She processes, what is this book? What's the potential? She was pretty amazing. So I hope you do pitch to her and go with her. I was very impressed with her.
Nice. Yeah. No, I definitely plan to. I wish I could pitch to her in person at this point,
Yeah.
As opposed to querying her, but I definitely plan to query. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, query response time is a huge deal for me. I definitely want to mark it down. Like I said, it's not going to stop me from querying that person, but I'm not going to, hold out hope that they'll ever respond to me if they say that they don't respond. And then I think you mentioned that I read about the agency that the agent is from. I want to know what the entire agency as a whole has represented. Where have they gotten books out to? Have they done really well? And that kind of thing. And then also, does the agent want to know if you're simultaneously submitting to other agents? Because I have seen on a few of their pages, they're like, just let me know if you are querying elsewhere. We just want to know that ahead of time. And
that's interesting.
That's not common. I haven't seen it everywhere, but I have seen it on a few, enough to where I'm like, okay, I kind of want to make sure that I look for that when searching for it.
Back in the day when I was using the Writer's Market book, the physical book.
In dinosaur time, guys.
In dinosaur time, they did, there was a huge taboo on simultaneous submissions at that point.
Yeah.
You were not allowed to do it. And so you were at the mercy. Now they did have a lot faster return time, because back then you can't submit back then like you did now. It was all, you had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope, people. I mean, to get your manuscript back. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But I have no idea what I was talking about.
About submitting simultaneously. How's that wine?
Yeah. I've only had the one glass. It's not a big glass. It's just a small glass. Okay. It is early. I have eaten, because I've eaten my little meatballs. So I don't know what my excuse is. I have no excuse.
Interesting.
I'm having a great time. Okay. Oh, and one thing I want to say is make sure they're not a scam.
Oh, yeah, that's a really, really good point.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are scam things out there, like especially on when you do this Twitter thing, I bet.
Oh, 100%.
You need to be careful, and we all get so excited. I did this back in the day when I was still using the book thing. I submitted to somebody. I don't know how I submitted, because it turned out they were a self-publisher and they wanted me to pay them. So obviously a scam. How I got to the point where I was submitting something to them, or anyway, I don't know, because there was no internet, people, so I couldn't do that kind of research.
Yeah.
But yeah, be careful.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because agents earn money on commission. they should not ask you to pay them to be your agent. Their whole incentive is to sell your book and make it do well and sell it to the best of their ability so that they get paid too. You should not be doing it. If they ask for money, it's a scam. Run away. Do not go with that agent, even if they're like, hey, I want to sign you, I want to contract you. No. It'll be bad for you. It'll be bad for your book. So just stay away from them.
Yeah, I agree. There is a organization that I found online, Writer Beware. It's a voluntary organization, and it lists ones that have been reported that are bad ones.
Nice.
So you might want to check that list. I checked the list. I didn't recognize any names on it, but at least research, protect yourself.
Read reviews.
There are a lot of those out there. So I think that's all I've got. And I think I've rambled on a lot longer than this was supposed to be a fairly short episode, but
There was.
Sorry.
I do have an interview question before we wrap up.
Okay.
Have you noticed if you use a particular color more than others when describing something in your novels?
Oh. I haven't noticed that, but I am partial to dark. I'm a horror type, which is funny because my last book, Frickin' Fairies, is so light and fluffy. But I do, like when we do our paragraph writing, there's a lot of grays and blacks, and I like the horror genre. I like the scary stuff. So I haven't noticed, but I would bet that if there was one, it would be black.
Black. I think, when I think of your books, no matter what book it is, for some reason, the color purple is in my head.
I do love purple.
So maybe purple. You use purple a lot, but I don't know. I haven't ever paid attention. I just thought it was an interesting question.
What about you?
I think I use browns. Browns and reds, I think I use a lot. Whenever I'm describing a new room, I'm very partial to light browns with darker brown accents. So I noticed, I describe that way a lot. Like in Mac, I point out the brown of her floors a lot, like the hardwood floors. I don't know. I feel like I probably use browns. It is, well, all right. So I'm a weirdo. That's my favorite color. Brown is my favorite color. So I probably use it a lot more in my writing than I even realize.
Well, purple and black are my favorite colors. So
fair enough.
No surprise there. Yeah, I was thinking my Frickin' Fairies, I described her bedroom as it was grays and blacks with the splashes of red.
Yep, it's bold. I remember you saying.
I do like bold colors. Yes. I am not a pastel person. Even the purple that I like is vibrant purple. I'm not a pastel purple. Yeah. So,
I like earth tones, I think is where that brown comes in. Is I really like the earthy tones. So I go with greens and browns and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Jordan likes weird colors to me.
Oh, she loves pastel. She's
pastel and I'm making a face. That was seeing myself on the camera. I just made a really bad face. I'm so sorry for anybody who likes pastels. I'm a very bold, brash person, and so I like bold, brash colors.
Yeah.
So, and I can see you as being the earth tones. You do strike me as an earth tone type, hippie kind of type. Not really hippie. Okay, somewhere I have to find my outro. I forgot to find it beforehand.
Goodness.
I don't know where it is. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you all for listening. Visit our website, eatdrinkWrite.podcast.com. All of our links to social media are there. We've got Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Facebook. Come check us out. You did not mention merch this time. We do still have merch available, so leave us a review on any of those places. Email us, give us your address, and we'll send it out to you. What else do we have? I don't usually do outros.
You don't? I love it. I think you should do it from now on.
You're right. Fair enough. Well, thank you guys for listening. If we missed anything, we will put it on our website, and you can see it there. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.